Hello everyone, welcome to Shriram's IAS. Myself Shiv Shankari, alias Shiva Ignatius. So we are here for the environment topic. Today what I'm going to discuss, instead of going into the very important topic climate change, I'll just introduce a new word called climate's Icy Memory Card, and then we will see some more concepts related to climate change. Okay. So before coming to this climate's Icy Memory Card, you should know what is climate change. So, as of now, you would have known about this word. It's nothing but a long-term variations in temperatures and weather patterns which is occurring from the previous temperatures recorded, from the previous weather patterns which has happened. So, this is called as climate change. It usually occurs naturally also, but now it is fastened. Instead of after 100 years something which is going to happen, it is happening in a predated way. So that's why we call this as the serious damage to the environment. Climate change is acting as a serious damage to the environment. So this idea of climate change, because we have given this word, we have coined this word called as climate change, and we were just giving much importance for this particular concept of climate change very recently. And based on that, we also have drafted a convention. That convention is also having a meet every year to draft a new policies or strategies to try to reduce the climate change negative impact. Okay. But this is not a new idea at all. As I already told, climate change can occur naturally also. So, this climate Icy Memory Card has revealed that even climate change has taken back around 8 lakh years before also. Okay, so how it happened, what is Icy Memory Card? That way we are going to start the discussion. As we all know, in Antarctica, around the ice mass which is formed in the Antarctica, because of the low temperature which is prevailing there, it happens to get accumulated. The ice, the snow starts to accumulate, okay, and converts into layers like a sheet. It gets converted into layers of ice, sheets of ice, okay, so it becomes very thick. So every layer is formed at different periods of time. Long back, from starting from long back, this sheets starts forming as layer after layer, layer after layer, and this layer, or every layer of ice sheet, gives us an idea of the environmental conditions which prevailed during the respective period. Okay, like the what are the gases which has been there in the atmospheres, concentrations, like how much amount of that gases has been present, and how much amount of volcanic ashes is present in the air, and even the temperatures during that period. Like this, all the data starting from the concentration of gases to even the amount of volcanic ashes, because at that time volcanic eruptions were frequently happening, and this ashes get accumulated in the atmosphere. So that way it also get accumulated in the snow layers. So amount of volcanic ashes in the air, as well as the temperatures during that period, during the corresponding period, everything can be traced down from this layers of ice sheets. That only I'm going to say how we are going to do it. Similar to carbon dating mechanism only. Okay. So what scientists used to do, they're extracting a cylinder form of ice. Okay, from these ice sheets, they will take a cylinder form of ice, or you can also say the glacier. Instead of ice sheets, a glacier also. This they call as ice core. Okay, so it's called as ice cores. And this act like a memory card. Why we are saying this is a memory card? Because it is hiding lot of information inside related to the specific period. So when they're boring down in the ice sheet, when they're taking a cylinder of ice like this, so from the ice sheet, Each and every part of this, the cylinder gives us the related information during the respective time period. Huh? So that's why this is called as Icy Memory Card. And mainly this is helping the scientists to study about the climate change related facts. So when they are trying to extract this and then decode, and then a lot of information gets revealed about the past. Okay. So this way they are studying about the temperature differences which is occurring, and even the concentration of various gases starting from carbon dioxide, everything. Okay. All this. So then they came to know that climate change is not a new fact, because whenever there is increases in temperature, whenever there is a slight differences in temperature, carbon dioxide concentration starts to increase. So this way, even when carbon dioxide concentration starts increasing, temperature increases. Now that is the problem which is happening. So that way they came to know that climate change occurred even before 8 lakh years. It was naturally occurring, but man did not create anything that time. Okay, so only because of the natural events, this climate change used to happen. But the real problem now is that with respect to the human induced climate change, anthropogenically induced climate change, or anthropogenic climate change, anyway you can call this. So that is the problem, because now the main thing is that the industrialization era, okay, the development which man is taking, trying to do without considering the environment. So what happens? He tried to extract the fossil fuels which were lying down on the earth, and now repeatedly burning those fossil fuels, the conventional energy source we call, repeatedly burning it, he starts releasing. For why he burned this? He burned it for various reasons. For vehicular, for traveling, for vehicles. That's why we are saying for industrial purposes. Okay, for energy, for generating energy. This way, they started burning fossil fuels, and they started releasing enormous amount of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, like carbon dioxide, nitrous oxide, sulfur dioxide, like this. But very important ones are carbon dioxides and methanes. And that's why we call this as human induced climate change. So, because of this presence of carbon dioxide type of gases, there occurred a event. This is a event which usually takes place. It's a natural process only. That is how earth is warm, and it keeps the people warm who resides within the earth. Otherwise, we would have we would have long before died due to cold. Anna? So how it happened? That's why we also call this as a greenhouse effect, and we call this is the natural phenomena which occurs to keep and make us warm. So what happens when the incoming solar radiation, and there are a lot of process, it is absorbed by the atmosphere, then it reaches down, and when it reaches down, it gets reflected from the it is absorbed by the earth, and when the earth absorbed rays gets reflected back to the atmosphere as a short wave IR radiations, few get trapped by that is absorbed by the atmospheric gases which is present there. Okay, so this warms the earth. But when this atmospheric gases which can trap this in IR radiations which is reflected from the earth gets increased in enormous level, then what happens? They will trap lot amount of reflected rays, and this will increase the temperature of the earth. Okay, that is how we are affected now. That's a problem because of enormous carbon dioxide which are released due to man's activity, the anthropogenic causes. There is lot of this greenhouse gases which remains in the atmosphere, and which absorbs more amount of this IR radiations, enormous amount of IR radiations, and then it keeps on warming the earth. And also the sea surface temperature also gets increases. Okay, lot of impact because of this. So you can see this graph. This graph is telling everything. I have shortly described about the climate change related global warming concept. How this climate change is bringing a global warming problem to us. Okay, naturally it happens, but man-made causes are increasing now Previously, it did not come to a concern because naturally it takes place, it happens. But now human is trying to fasten it, right? So as you can see here, till even 2000, you can see this. See, initially till 1950, when we are observing, when the development phase was there, when it starts to begin, that human induced climate change starts increasing than the natural phenomena of climate change. Okay, the increase of temperature, the global warming. And you can see after 1950, although the naturally occurring forces, naturally way of global, increasing the global temperatures is in the same pace, more or less, but human induced is reaching a peak. It's keep on increasing. And 2000, you can see this is a pink line. So it's keep on increasing. And this is what we call as the anthropogenic climate change. And now we are going to see what are the impacts caused because of this climate related issues, right? Now, before going into that, you all know that Sriram's is on an academy platform and has been the recent batch we just started, just commenced in June 22. You can also join with us for your preparation, and you will be traveling with the renowned faculties of Shriram's. Okay, and now we'll move as we continues. And like this, what are the problems it is going to create? What are the problems this is going to cause on the environment and to the people? That you have to know. So, like I can say that, what are the effects of this climate change? So when you take your question papers, you'll be facing that, suppose some terms like what are the issues, environmental issues, they'll be asking about that particular term they will give, and they will ask you to define sometimes. And then they continues with the impact of that particular environmental issue on the environment. Same way only, you also should handle the climate change topic. So I have given the effects of climate change for you. Right. So the first thing which I like to say is that because of this anthropogenic caused climate change, there is going to be shortage in water availability. Already it happened in various parts, and it is going to happen even in the areas where the perennial rivers are flowing. So why we call it as perennial rivers? Why we call this as a non-perennial rivers? As you all know that the perennial rivers are fed by the glaciers, and it is fed throughout the year, not like the non-perennial rivers, which is only fed by the rain. So both are affected here in this case because climate change has shifted the rainfall pattern. So the non-perennial rivers which are receiving the rain through from the the monsoons, right, from the rainfall is also affected. At the same time, the perennial rivers it's also affected, but the scientists are saying that at present there will be enormous water discharged into the perennial rivers like Ganga, Yamuna, all those rivers, because there is frequent melting of glaciers which is taking place due to this global warming phenomena. So what happens that now you receive enormous amount of water, and the glacier sheets is keep on melting, and over the period after long term, what happens? After 20 years, after 25 years, completely the ice sheets gets melted down. Even Antarctica ice sheet is thinning. Then imagine what will happen to Himalayas, the third pole. There's a major problem we can say. So this will lead to shortage in water availability, and when shortage in water availability happens, droughts will prevail. Already in the southern part of India, I'm only considering India, I'm saying that already in the southern part of India, we are facing droughts and desertification problem. So all are aligned, desertification, drought problem. So the fertility of the soil is lost because there is no proper water facilities or water availability to feed the farms, to feed the land. And then it also leads to drought because the farmer is not supported properly for cultivation because of less water availability, and all these reasons lead to poor cultivation, and this leads to the spread of drought. And this is some major issue which you have to consider related to the climate change. Not only this, if you come to Himalayas, as I already told, the glaciers are keep on melting. So what happened? There is something called a snow line. Snow line. What we call a snow line, the sheet, the ice sheet, you know, the end of the ice sheet, I can say like this. In the mountain, if you climb, you'll find that, the ice sheets covered from here to here. This area we call as a snow line. And now what is happening? And this is called as tree line. The area till which the vegetation exists is called as tree line. And after which the snow, the permafrost area starts. That is called as a snow line. Now what happens? This tree line is keep on advancing. That means the snow line is keep on retreating. Okay, so it's keep on moving back. That means it's going towards the peak. And what happens? We will lose the snow completely. We'll lose the glaciers. We'll lose the sheets. And now, already, as we have discussed in the succession unit, when a retreating glacier exposes a new landmass outside, there appears vegetation starting from, as you all know, the lichens, mosses, like this, the primary, the keystone species also will appear, like then the climax community, the pioneer community, starting from the pioneer community to the climax community, it will start appear. And then what happens? It will turn this into a forest. That is what we call in the name of greening of the Himalayas. So although we might think that this is a good way, that because Himalayas is turning green, but what will happen to white? That is what will happen to snow. That's a questionable thing. And have you ever imagined the other impact of retreating snow line and preceding tree line? What is the result? Consequences? The consequences is that the biodiversity of that particular unique landscape is getting affected. Not only there, everywhere throughout the world, throughout the country, because of this changing climate. What happens? There are a lot of changes in the weather patterns, in the rainfall pattern, and because of this, various biodiversity is getting affected. The endemic species and all cannot survive in the particular area because these species are very sensitive to the environment, to the climatic factors. They select that particular area because that area has a unique type of environment, starting from sunlight, invading sunlight, to the wind directions, even the rainfall patterns. All this will be considered for their growth, not only the plants but also animals. But now, because of climate change, everything is changed, and the distribution of these plants and animals is also affected severely. And as I told you, especially in the Himalayas, if you take, the receding snow line is affecting a very important a species, cat species, a big cat species called snow leopard, as you all know. So this snow leopard resides in that snow area, and if it's snow and all is goes, where they will go? Where they will go and reside? So this is a major problem. It is affecting the habitat of this particular species. Okay, but the flagship species of the Himalayas, but not only them. Many small species, many small, even starting from insects, the butterflies to moth, all are affected because of this changing climate. And some are even drive to extinction. Some are even becoming extinct. Okay, they completely vanish or disappear from the earth, from the atmosphere because of the changing climate. And some undergo or experience a behavioral change. So what happens? They are trying to, previously these animals would never migrate, but they are forced to migrate from that area since they cannot live in that particular environment. Right? So this way we can see that not only habitat loss, but also starting from behavioral changes to the extreme event of extinction is happening to the biodiversity also. Right? Even the range shifts is taking place. Ranges, what we call as ranges, the place where an animal occupy, the place where animal is previously distributed, we call this as range. Now they're completely shifting their ranges. Previously, you would have heard about the red panda. They are present throughout the eastern Himalayan ranges. Okay. and mostly in the northern part also you can find them. But now they are only confined to Arunachal Pradesh, and now very you can even see them in only one national park in the West Bengal area. So that way only now we are shrinking. These animals are shrinking their habitat, are shifting their ranges totally. Okay, so not only them, even I have given a lot of example about the Nilgiri Thar, because that appeared in the newspaper also. I told you like how previously they were distributed throughout the Western Ghat ranges. Now they are only occupying in a small area in Yeravikulam National Park. Okay, so you can find them. This way, the shift in ranges is also taking place. And I already told the endemic species is keep on reducing, and invasive species are coming repeatedly invading that area. So what happens? The endemic means those species, I already told, they are very sensitive to the environmental conditions. So they select that particular area because the environmental factors are suitable for their survival. So when this due to climate change, endemic species doesn't want to survive, are not able to survive. Where they will go? They selected that area because that suits them better. And now, if this area is not, I cannot live here, I'll move to some hill station. We can do it, but they cannot do it. So they completely go extinct. They're completely vanished from the society. They totally disappear. And in that places, the invasive species will occupy. That's a major problem which is happening everywhere, starting from India to every country. This invasive species is completely occupying the area. It's coming and occupying the area and stealing the resources of the endemic species, and also killing the endemic species indirectly. They will never go and kill. They are indirectly threatening the survival of the endemic species, because this always wins the competition. Invasive species are very much adaptable to the environment. What kind of environment it might be, they will be able to survive and spread in the enormous way. So that's how this is also another major problem or impact of climate change. And even new species are appearing in the particular area. Instead of the original species which belong there, new species are occupying the area, and this is totally affecting the biodiversity of the area itself. Okay, so this way we can say that how the climate change is affecting the environment as well as the biodiversity, the place as well as the biodiversity. Apart from this, also there are a lot of effect related to climate change. Even this climate change and global warming is increasing the sea surface temperature. We only seen about the land. Come to the water. What happens to water then? So it is it is completely increasing the surface temperature of water bodies also, because of rise in temperature of ocean waters. It also create lot of negative impact on the organisms which survive in the marine environment, starting from coral reef, the most sensitive marine organisms, to all the other marine biota. They get affected. Not only that, because of this climate change related global warming issue, and along with them ocean acidification, because this anthropogenic caused climate change. Why? Because of the release of greenhouse gases. And this greenhouse gases also resulting in acid rain, and it affects the land plants, land buildings, and land humans also. And similarly, it affects the marine biota also. So acidification starts increasing because of the increasing nature of the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, and this affects totally the every organisms, the calcifying organisms and the non-calcifying organisms also. This and all we will be studying elaborately under acidification topic. I'm just connecting here. That's it. Okay, so this way we can see that climate change is causing a major problem on the environment as well as on the species, right? So not this, it does not end here. Just an intro topic of climate change. So I just introduced what is climate change, and what is Icy Memory Card related to climate change, and why we call this as a memory card, because it is recording all the events which is happening since past years. Okay, so then we can, like how we are doing carbon dating using the tree trunk, using ice also we can study about the climate. And it's very recently scientists also discovered climate change is very natural phenomena So it dates long back from the 8 lakh years around. It is happening naturally. But now, why it is under a concern? Because of human-induced climate change only. That's the major problem. So then, if they are asking something about climate change, your answer has to be that in such a way, you have to first write climate change. Then you have to say that climate change can also occur naturally, but the recent problem is due to anthropogenic induced climate change, and this is keep on increasing the temperature, global temperature, and that is called something we call as global warming. And I also explain what is global warming for you, how it happens. Global warming is a natural phenomena only, but since it is anthropogenically induced climate change, that means the gases, atmospheric gases keeps on increasing, and that is the playing a major part in observing this IR radiation and keep on increasing the temperature of the earth. This way I connected that concept, and I also discussed what are the negative impacts or effects of climate change. And apart from this, if I want to cover some topics in climate change, generally what you have to do, since we are not going to do in this short session, the next thing which you have to focus is climate actions. So when you are studying about the topic like climate change, you have to know what is climate change, what are the effects of climate change on the environment, on the animals, on humans. Then what are the climate action strategies which is existing in here. Apart from the SDG goal number 13, climate action, what are the action India has taken to tackle this climate change? Okay, so when I will just introduce it. I'll just give a small brief, explanation about this, but not the elaborate one. But when you are studying, you have to take an elaborate version of this. How we are going to tackle climate change? There are a lot of initiatives taken by India, but very few initiatives are very important. Starting from this, one is missing here. That also I will inform you. The greening of railway systems. Okay, now Ministry of Railways is taking a major initiative. By 2030, they have to reduce the carbon footprint on railways. As we also know about the LT-LED, India has submitted recently the long-term low emission development strategy, in which India has put the transport sector as one major sector where carbon footprint has to be reduced, and where to reach the goal of net zero carbon by 2070. This is the aim of India. So in order to reach that, India has proposed some 7 major targets under the LT-LED. One such target is for transport sector, but railway is also now taking an initiative in order to green the railway system, like electrification, solar, powered railway stations, everything like that. And then second major initiative taken by India is reducing the single-use plastic and the plastic waste management handling rules, everything, which has been recently amended. Recently, a lot of initiatives, a lot of new initiatives has been introduced under this. So you have to take care of this because we targeted this for the prelims. Prelims, there was no question. Maybe in the mains you will get the question. So be careful while reading this. So how India is trying to phase out the single-use plastic and how it is trying to end this plastic waste problem in India. Okay, so that way all those initiatives which has been taken starting from 2016, plastic waste management handling rules, we have to revise till the 2022 rules, amendment rules. Till that you have to take care of. Then life movement, everywhere nowadays you take a press information bureau, you'll be seeing that life movement here, life movement initiative taken place in this particular department there. Okay, so that way you'll be seeing a lot of initiatives taken under this life movement, and you also know that the life is nothing but it's nothing but environmentally conscious lifestyle. People has to take, that's a behavior change strategy. So it is proposed as a movement. And for this, India is striving hard that people are the one who has to be aware about the environment conscious lifestyle, and then they have to take an initiative to propagate the circular economy and reduce the waste on one side. Okay. So this way, life movement is also giving effect to the climate change problems. And updated NDCs. What are the recent NDC, that is nationally determined contribution, just proposed during the Paris summit, has been recently amended by India. India is the first to submit it. And the target is from 2021 to 2030. They have proposed certain goals under this target goals, and you have to go and revise that. And last, the greening, not last, another 2 more is there. green budget, green budgeting, what it is. Already I've done a session for that. You can also go and verify that. Green budgeting and what are the initiatives which are taken by India under this green budget in order to reduce the carbon footprints and to tackle the climate change. And the last is National Action Plan for Climate Change. So even year-wise classification, this is around 15 years after the introduction. So you have to be very careful. Already when prelims also I have mentioned in various places for, the Minamata Convention, 5 years got over. So you have to be prepared in 360-degree perspective of a topic. A teacher in a confined time period cannot handle every aspect of a particular topic. But they can give an insight for you that this is how you have to prepare for this topic. So same way, mercury pollution was asked in the prelims. So be careful. Now, we expected this National Action Plan for Climate Change, which consists of 8 missions. 8 missions are there. Even one time in mains, directly they asked one mission. So anytime it may get repeated and there might be another mission in the question of yours. So be careful and then try to read that also. So with this, you have to complete the climate change. So in this topic, I just gave an intro about a climate change. So be connected with us, join with us. So you can learn all these topics in the confined manner and in the precise manner and in the necessary topics alone you have to read. Unnecessarily, don't read everything and dump everything in your mind. This is how you have to prepare for your environment. Thank you all. We'll meet again with some other topic.